All right, the 3 years in the making of getting car parts. I'm finally getting to this car behind me. I'll flip the camera on and talk about it. So I drove to Georgia to buy this car 3 years ago and drove it back. Well, right now it's got a blown engine, or at least it locked up, it's got no oil in it. But I just found the keys for it, so I'm gonna try to get it started and then drive it onto the trailer. So, wish me luck. All right, so the engine, 4.62 valve, was locked up. My brother drove it home, came out to start it the next day. Engine wouldn't turn over at all. I just put a battery in it, clamped that on, and that's just sitting there. We're gonna see if it turns over at all. All right. Turn. Oh, wrong key. Oh man. All right. Oh! Yeah, okay. I'm gonna put oil in it. Dude, it cranked right over. Oh, that's great. Okay, check this out. So I forgot my oil, but my brother has had this oil sitting here for like 6 to 8 months. It is used engine oil from something. And yeah, I'm gonna dump that in the car because I'm pulling the engine out, but used oil is better than no oil. All right. Yep, it's just drinking up all this black oil. But, oh, that was a chunk. Probably a leaf. Yep, leaf. Alright, topped it off. So it's got oil now. By the way, there's the Roush Thunderbird. Okay, let's crank this baby up, see if it even starts. All right, so the total time this car is sitting, I think we're at like 9 to 10 months, maybe. It might be pushing a year actually. It's been sitting here dead, just dead in the water, broke. So power, it was locked up, so let's see. Oh, it's rough. Wonder if I should put the ramps out and just get ready to drive it up right away. Oh man. It's running. Okay, I'm gonna get the ramps out and drive it up. All right, so I'm solo, so I've got a oil container shoved under there so that the battery doesn't crush and disconnect my vice grip or whatever battery thing. I'm gonna back it up, park it on the street right there, pull the ramps down, and then drive it right up on the truck. So I'm one man, so I'm not gonna try to record and drive. I'm just gonna do it, get it done, and then strap it down and head home. Car's loaded. It's a bit far forward, but I could only get the door open if I went this far up, which I'm going about 7-9 miles. But all right, I'm gonna load this thing, get home, clean it. Okay, so I'm in my driveway, so there's gonna be car noise, but what you're looking at here is a 4-point scale system. Each one of these will go under a coordinated tire with the matching color and the computer module, which is on the trunk right now. It is going to weigh the weight at each wheel, the entire weight of the vehicle itself, and the ratio of a weight ratio, 50-50, 60-40, anything like that. So we're about to get a lot of good data here on this bone stock, completely untouched 1997 Mercury Cougar and see what a factory vehicle is weighing in at. So I'm gonna jack this car up, slide these under the correct wheels, hook the system up, and I'll be right back. We have our wires connected, going under here, going to the correct locations. We are powered on with the module, and you can see everything here is at 0 percentages. And just for display purposes now, I'll put some weight on this pad here, So right now I'm putting 81 pounds, 85, 79, and then we'll zero back out. So right now this system is zeroed, and we are now going to put my jack under the car, lift it up, put these under, set it down, vice versa, and then it says to go to each corner and shake the car up and down and to fully settle the suspension and let it set. So that is what I'm going to do really quick, and then I'll come back and we'll get our readings. That jack has no weight on it, it's just resting under there. The car is fully on all 4 scales, so let's check it out. So, hold on, I'm gonna wait for all these cars. Be right back. I forgot to walk by and push on it like it said. It said to go to every corner, push up and down. That's what it told me to do. So, we're gonna do that. Every corner, we'll push in, bob in the suspension, and then it said to wait for it to settle. It's probably be the same anyway. So here are the numbers. The left front, 1,057 pounds. Right front, 1,078 pounds. Left rear here, 700 and it keeps going between 890. We'll say 790. Right rear, 744. Now this car, for this test, I even left the spare tire in the car, and I'm not sure how much gas it has. But the only thing that is altered from this car over a stock one is it has a 2-din, double din radio swapped into it, which not much, and the grill is missing. So it's stock, guys. So here we're getting our numbers. So let's see. Total weight, 3,668 pounds between 7 and 9. Okay, so 28% of the weight is up on the front left, and then 29% front right. So the front is about 60 and the rear is 40. So the rear is almost 42%. So it's like a 58, wait, math. I don't know, calculator stuff. I'm gonna go through these modes, hopefully don't delete this, and see if I can get more percentages or something. Okay, so I just used my calculator, and it's a 58 to 42% weight ratio. So this car, 58% of the weight is up front and 42% is in the back. That is actually not bad for a personal luxury car. This is a Mercury, 97 Mercury. So with the parts that we have a lot of lighter front end stuff that we're gonna put on and try to get it 50-50 and try to get that weight down. My goal would be if I could shave 270 pounds off. If we could make this a 3,400 pound street car with a close 50-50 weight ratio, that would be really good in my book. So I'm gonna get this thing off the scales and get the scales back to my boss. So I gotta thank him a lot for lending me this really nice setup he's got, and I can't wait to weigh the car again after all the hard work we put in. So alrighty, time to get it off. It's the next day. I'm in the car about to drive it to my shop, and I live on the busiest street in the world. There's so much stuff going on, and there's cars, constant traffic. So burnout test. I'm gonna flip the camera and we're gonna see if this puppy will do a brake stand in my driveway, since traffic doesn't want to let me out of my own house. All right, here we go. I don't know if I can record the wheel as much. Yep. With a blown up engine. In the driveway. Yeah, man. This thing's a cruiser, blown up engine even, well, it was locked up supposedly. Just did and I just realized I left it in reverse. So we actually did a reverse gear burnout. Oh, my neighbors probably hate me. Just parked this baby under the crane. Should we go look at the aftermath of the burnout? Because I was lighting them up pretty good. Well, we're about to take this thing apart. It's been sitting outside forever, so it's all mossy and stuff. About to rip the whole front end off the car and then pull that engine out. So, kind of sucks because right now it runs and drives. So a little bit about this car just before I go tearing into it. So I live in the panhandle of Florida, and I drove to Georgia for this car. And it looked a lot cleaner than it does now. But I drove to Georgia, and my wife and I rented like an Airbnb and stayed on a mountaintop, and took pictures of the car in the morning with the car on the mountain. It was awesome. And I drove the car from Georgia, the southern Georgia, to the panhandle of Florida on 1 tank of gas. I had the AC blows cold. I had the sunroof open, windows down. I was cruising the whole way listening to the radio and made it on 1 tank of gas. And with a V8, this is a 4.6 car. So I was like, wow. And then got it for $1,500. And an old lady who did house cleaning was her job. This was her car, and her friend was selling it for her, so I bought it from him. And then my brother drove the car for, I want to say close to 2 years. So close to 2 years, roughly, give or take a couple months. And then one day, and it did have some problems eventually, like the alternator went out, and then the alternator wiring shorted out, so I had to redo that. And what else? That caused it to die out multiple times from no battery, so that was like the same problem. It's only one issue, really. And, well, then my brother goes out one day, and his engine wouldn't start. Just click, click, click. The engine was like locked up. I put a fresh battery in it. We jump started, tried with another truck even, and just was clicking. The engine was solid, and I pulled the dipstick out, and there was not one drop of oil in the car. And then it sat there for the longest time, and then you saw when I went and got it, cranks right up and does burnouts. But so over the past 3 years, we have gathered parts, and I'm looking down because its engine is right here. So I'll show you what we got going on. This is its engine. It is a 1997 Lincoln Mark 8 engine, and we do have a Cobra intake as well with IRMC delete plates down there. So I think I'm actually gonna run the original Mark intake. I'll explain it later, but this car, the engine, we bought a car that is sitting right there on the other side of this wall, running, driving, and I used it as a tractor for the longest time. It had a tow hitch on the back, and I'd wrap chains around the hitch and use the Lincoln to pull stumps out. And was using it for that just around the house, and then finally decided it's time to steal its engine. So I pulled the engine out, parted the car out, and had this sitting here for like 6 months, or actually more than that. That car was running and driving when I pulled this, so it's been like a year now. Time's flying. But we have that, and I have a wall of parts. All those SVE boxes are wheels for it. Those are Super Coupe seats that I'm getting reupholstered. And there's boxes and boxes of parts. New, that entire back corner that on that shelf is just full to the back wall of parts. And that's a Team ZK member for his other car. He's got a Fox Body Thunderbird Turbo Coupe, and we got a Team Z bunch of parts for it too. But it's just time to get this out of my shop because I need to start getting rid of all my stuff. So this thing's taking up quite a bit of room. So I told him, I was like, dude, I gotta put that engine in your car. So here's the original 4.6, and something weird is this is dented. but this is the only thing that would change it away from being just like a pristine, undented car. And I think there's signs that it was in a front end. They hit something, because the hood here was, this hood we washed the car was white, and someone had repainted it silver without taking this off. So this hood is from a different vehicle. And something, I forget what made me think this bumper, oh, it's missing some clips and stuff. So I was like, and I think there's a piece of plastic that actually goes here, if I remember right. I can't remember, but maybe not. So yeah, I think they just hit something, smashed it in. I also have, I'm telling you, you'll see later. I don't want to talk about it, ruin it. But, okay, time to pull this perfectly working engine. So I did the right thing and removed the exhaust first. So my Cougar back in the day was a dual exhaust. Had 2 true pipes that came out and went to their own things. His is actually a sport model too, which blows me away that his sport model has the 1 pipe. And look at this, they sandwich it, they crimped it, so a V8 is breathing through that. But I have an entire new dual exhaust 2.5-inch pipe set up in that box, the whole thing. But anyway, let's fire this up with no mufflers. All right, no mufflers. My neighbors hate me. You know, I thought it would sit there and bounce off the rev limiter, dun 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 dun, but actually instead, so it went into, so it went into the red. It went past that, and at 5,500 RPMs, it actually cut fuel and went back to about 4,500 instead of sitting there and bouncing off it, which was weird. So you actually can't just hold it at red line. It just went, that's why you heard boom, and it went back, and then I could add more. Weird. But, I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? The engine locks up again. So, alright. Well, that's the last time that engine's probably ever going to start. So now we're going to rip it out. Start ripping everything else out. I already got a drive shaft undone now. So here I go. So there's its system. 3 catalytic converters, except look at this one. Someone has cut it and removed everything and then welded it back up. But anyway, I forgot that we're gonna start this open manifolds and then bounce it off the rev limiter if it will. We're gonna try. I'm just gonna hold it to the floor, see what happens. It's about to be loud. Alright, this is where we're at so far. So, I stripped the whole front, I drained everything but the transmission, tore this all apart. I've got most of this stuff bagged and tagged and whatnot, but a lot of it we're not keeping. The entire harness, so last time I did this, I used this factory harness, just slightly altered a little bit to go onto the 4-valve. And that's what we're going to do again, so we can use, the car will think that it's just 2-valve, which we'll get into that later. But right now I'm debating of pulling the engine out the top, which I did on my car back in the day, and that's how we got his Mark 8 engine out. But I'm wanting to drop it down, just drop the K-member with the engine like I did back in the day on the Lincoln that I bought, to drop it all, and then I'm trying to convince him to buy that AJE K-member and put a tubular K-member under here with the Cobra engine and drop this whole assembly and then slide the new assembly, and it would be lighter, stronger, and if he gets it, I can show you the better design. It's far, far superior to what this came with stock, and you'll see that later. So right now I'm at that kind of crossroads because this is all disconnected, ready to go. Yeah, it's gutted. And I thought this was in a wreck. It looks like something dropped on it. Boom, probably damaged the hood, dented this in, and then dented this right here, caved that in. I don't know, maybe a tree in a storm, kablam! But one thing is, it bent this thing all up here. It looks like the brackets underneath, so it looks like someone drove in, someone punctured it. But I've got a couple of these, 2 or 3, so I can swap that out for him. Oops. But yep, next up there'll be no engine right there. Yeah, that was a full fuel tank. Oh man, look how dirty I am. But it fell on me and it bent the fuel lines, but where they're not rubber, I don't know what they are, they're like plastic, it bent them right there where it meets, so hopefully that's fine. But it's full, so I've got this little pump trying to fill up that 5 gallons at a time. Suppose I should have disconnected the fuel line up at the engine, turned the key on, and put a hose up there and had this pump all the fluid out, but I didn't really think of it at the time. So now I've got this crazy weird setup going. Yep. So it's the next day again. I think 3 days now. But this week's video of the Cougar, it was primarily about weighing it, and then I kind of started just tearing down into the engine and, well, not engine, but getting ready to remove it all. But this video was pretty much like the initial starting point of the car, and I didn't even go into the vision of what this car is going to be. So I think that's going to be next time. And one thing is, my brother and I was talking to him yesterday, and we went ahead and decided get the AJE K-member. I told him, I go, man, everything I've learned through life, building cars, all the stuff I've built, everything, I have learned one thing, and that is do it right the first time. And I know the stock K-member that's under that, that's all that's been available since 1989 until roughly last year, give or take 12 months. I don't know, or give or take a couple months, not 12. But AJE makes a K-member for this car now. Who knows how long it's gonna be available, because the whole time I've been into cars, you used to be able to buy 1996 to 2004 Mustang Cobra B-head, or not B-head, the Cobra 4 valves have oval ports. You used to be able to buy mild steel headers for them for like 360 bucks. Not bad. Well, now that my brother got the car, they discontinued mild steel ones, and the only headers you can get are these stainless steel, like $800 sets of headers, and we have to cut and weld them to fit a Cougar, like I've done in the past with my 4 valve swaps. But what I told him, I go, is you just don't know when parts are going to be discontinued, and if we swap this and paint the car and get it all nice, the whole time we're going to be like, man, we could still upgrade to that K-member, and then I got to tear it all apart. So I'll give you one last overview of the car, and we'll kind of close this video out. And then right after this, after I close this video, I'm going to drop that engine. Like I was showing before, I have everything disconnected and removed, bagged and tagged, and all parts, like this whole air dam assembly. It even had this car was so factory, it had the air silencer and those plastic inserts that screw in here. So I put all that together like it was assembled in the car. Everything is together so that it's easily found, and if we sell this other stuff, who knows, someone might want it, or we might need it for another Cougar. I plan on buying one more. Yep, I'm gonna drop all this stuff while it's under the crane. Fuel tank, drive shafts out. So it's gonna be pretty nice. So we'll take one last look at the new engine that's going in. There's the 2-valve, which is, they're pretty good. I mean, 215 horsepower, and it's all like pretty low. And here's the 4-valve Lincoln engine with a Cobra intake. All right, everyone, thanks for watching, and stay tuned and keep looking for updates on this car. I'm bouncing back and forth between different projects constantly about whenever I get parts in stock. But you saw I have a whole wall of parts for this car, so I should be able to get a severe amount of work done to this vehicle with what we currently have. So that being said, thanks for watching. Bye.